Hello students, welcome to Civil Services Prime Time. Welcome back to the next episode of International Relations, where we will discuss most important aspects in IR topics. The topics have been categorized into 6. The first one is K visa. Second one, European Union Deforestation Regulation, EUDR. And at the same time, in recent times, Coffee Board especially in India has making some progress and advancements towards the EUDR regulations also. Next one is Forum for India Pacific Islands Cooperation. This is the third summit. Fourth one, China to retain developing status but forgo WTO benefits. It is special and differential treatment of countries where especially developing and least developed nations are there. So obviously China has retained developing status, but the benefits from the next WTO summits will not take by China. Next one is India-Australia Mutual Recognition Arrangement. It is nothing but on organic products, especially mutually recognized in both the countries, Australia and India. And last one would be the other work visas for the US. So we are mostly concerning about H1B visa. Despite being a one-time settlement for H1B visa, there are other visas are also available for the employers or companies or MNCs that they will take care apart from your H1B visa. So that is the simple discussion for today's class. The first one is K visa. So from October 1, China will launch K visa program, which is designed to attract youth professionals, especially in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, popularly known as STEM. Before that, there was another visa was also there, but that was attracted in later ages. Nothing but on your senior position levels. They will give visas. So let's try to understand what is this K visa, how it is going to help with China in strategic way. So if you look at the background, H1B since 1990, it has been the backbone for global STEM mobility. Nothing but who are doing STEM courses. Obviously, they are gaining more US jobs, right? That is the H1B visa background. So after Trump, especially for the second term in 2025, Trump imposed $1 lakh fees on H1B visas to favor high paid jobs and at the same time to squeeze out early career entrants. Nothing but make America great again. And most of the industries that needs to be maintained within the borders of the USA. That is the major intention of Donald Trump. And what is the global ripple? So if you take this H1B visa fees hike, obviously the IT and IT enabled services providers like Infosys, TCS and Wipro and foreign graduates, they face hurdles. That is the global ripple. And China sees this as a vacuum. And there is a popular slogan, right? Every crisis, there is an opportunity. Right now, the trade relations between USA, India, and USA, China have been at the topmost. So, obviously, China sees this as a vacuum to attract most STEM graduates and at the same time, foreign faculties, whether they have been graduated from Chinese university or from any other university recognized by competent authority. So they are simply attracting manpower. So what K visa offers? Obviously, it young STEM graduates, bachelors and above. That is the target group. And foreign faculty, postdoctorals and researchers. These are also eligible for the K visa. So in earlier case, if you look at H1B visa, obviously the company has to give these H1B visa sponsors, right? But what about this K visa? There are unique provisions, multiple entries and longer validity. So you don't need to worry about your entries and exit from China. Activities beyond work, nothing but you can participate in education, research, cultural and entrepreneurship in China itself. That is one of the advantage. No company sponsorship needed, just like your H1B visas, how they are sponsored. In a similar way, there is no need for K visas to sponsor, which reduces bureaucratic bottlenecks, obviously. So what is the comparison with R visa? In earlier, there was a same similar type of visa was there in China. That is R visa, which targets only senior and high level experts. They are not care about young professionals. Now, K visa provides access to early career STEM youth. So early you have been completing their STEM courses. They have to nurturing their talent. So simply they are attracting the talent across the globe. So what are the opportunities and the risk for China? So obviously it will counterbalance US talent squeeze. That is the major opportunity. Create innovation clusters similar to Silicon Valley. So whenever we think about any IT and AI technology, so obviously we heard that Silicon Valley is the one of the founding area. So in a similar way, China wants to develop one type of Silicon Valley in China. That's why they are attracting. Attract Indian STEM graduates hit by H1 barriers. So whoever having issues with this H1B, obviously they have a second option from China. And what are the domestic headwinds in China? So China is a China is a similarly India's like country with the population. And if you look at economic systems in China, mostly these are opaque in nature. Then there are some issues internally that are struggling. So 21% of youth unemployment as per 2025. Real estate and debt crisis in China lead to economic slowdown. That is the biggest worry for. So obviously, what can you expect from any graduation course or post-graduation course? Once you complete the course, you are expecting to join any job or entrepreneurship. But the situations are not so good in China. And what about foreign talent concerns? So obviously, censorship will be there, academic freedom. Sometimes academic freedom will be available, sometimes not. Language and cultural integration is one of the biggest hurdle for anyone. So if you look at India's case, from north to south, different cultures, different languages. In a similar way, we are moving to China, completely whole new nation. Obviously, you can find the difficulties in culture and language also. That is the biggest problem. Comparative disadvantages was US. US offers long term. So obviously, residency, green card pathways. China unclear on residency after K visa. So if you work in USA after 3 to 5 years, obviously he will promoted to PR, permanent residency and green card facilities also. But there is no clear mentioning about this type of permanent residency after the K visa. That is the one of the unclear message from China. So what is the way forward? How can we see this? The first one is invest in higher education. We have different IITs, IIMs, but what about new universities that are under the global top 10? So obviously push IITs and IASCs, and at the same time new age universities which are relevant for our digital economy. Talent retention. Create domestic postdoctoral research opportunities with global scale funding. So nothing but obviously you need to stop a brain drain. So majority of the IITs and IIMs, the graduates are simply they left the country and they working somewhere else in the world. So obviously you need to retain the brains. For that, what you need? Obviously, you need a domestic opportunities. So the domestic opportunities with global scale funding. That is the need of the hour. Reverse brain drain. Incentive Indian origin researchers abroad. So obviously, if you left India, whether it should be USA, UK, or any advanced nation, once you completed your MS, obviously, you need to reverse brain drain by gain initiative in a larger scale. It was started in 2016 or 17 by IITs and IASC. And uh, introduce research visa for the South Asian and global South STEM talent. So there are different types of visas available to visit any country. In a similar way, introduce new type of research visa and position India as a global hub for STEM in the Asia. And at the same time, there are different forums, whether it should be G20 or BRICS forums. So generally, different types of issues were discussed in these forums. In a similar way, You need to push global talent compact through these organizations also, so that it would be better to retain our brains. So that is the first one. Next one, European Union Deforestation Regulation. Why it was in news especially? So if you look at Coffee Board of India, especially from India, it has maintained and it has created some special programs to comply the standards which were put forward by European Union Deforestation Regulation. So let's try to understand what is EUDR. So if you look at trading or commodities within the scope of EUDR, so these were the commodities under the EUDR: cattle, wood, coffee, oil, soya, rubber, and cocoa. These were the commodities within the scope of European Union Deforestation Regulation. So if you exports outside the EU and if you import into the EU, the same will be applicable. And what is the objective? Objective is nothing but Europeans. So finally, they have realized they do not want to contribute deforestation or forest degradation. So historically, they have been benefited, but in recent times, they have been realized, right? Deforestation and forest degradation should not be done in European countries. Both within European Union and at the same time, they are concerning about globally also. That is the major objective behind EUDR regulations. And to cut carbon emissions, to tackle deforestation. These were the major objectives behind EUDR. So whom will it impact? Obviously, agriculture exporters. Whoever exporting from India, obviously they are at the impact, and traders who are doing trading, farmer producers organizations, FPOs and cooperatives, manufacturers and processors, input suppliers and certification authorities and logistics and distribution partners, each and everyone who are in this supply chain will be affected because of this one. So what is the concern over this benchmarking? So European Union has started this EUDR regulation to import agriculture commodities from different nations. But what were the issues? So generally it has benchmarked three types of risk zones: high risk, medium risk, and low risk for deforestation. How can you quantify whether these are high risk zones or medium risk or low risk zone? That no one knows. So that is the biggest worry. That's why Indonesia and India raised concern about this benchmark system. On what basis they have been categorized into these three profiles? Countries criticize the one-size-fits-all approach and lack of effective compliance support systems. So each and every country requires different needs. Different resources are present. Different needs will be there. Then how can you make sure that these EUDR regulations will be same for each and every one country? So that is the issue. One size does not fit for all. Limited time for compliance and high cost. So there is a limited time has been given to the countries who wants to export to EU. Obviously, the limited time compliance and obviously the high cost associated with these compliance, particularly for small producers. For the large fish, it's not a problem, but small producers, it will be the problem. So if you look at some of the static details about Coffee Board, Coffee Board was started way back in before independence. Sometimes the questions might be asked in a way that which of the following acts have been established before the independence also? Already UPSC has given this type of questions. So it was started in 1942, works under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Bangalore. So what is the mandate and functions of this Coffee Board? Obviously, promotion of coffee, a different type of coffee beans that will be promoted. Research and development on coffee production and world best practices, market development, and technology and quality. So these were the major mandate given for the Coffee Board and their functions.
Hello everyone. As you all know, Civil Services Prime Time is one of its kind initiative where we are teaching the students current affairs related to the particular subject one day at a time. అంటే ఒక వారంలో జరిగిన కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ అన్ని ఒక సబ్జెక్ట్ కి సంబంధించి మేము ఒక రోజులో చెప్తున్నాం. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ద రివర్స్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ టెక్నిక్. బికాస్ మీరు ప్రతి వీడియో చూసినట్టయితే ఎండ్ లో ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ప్రిలిమ్స్ చేస్తున్నాము, అలాగే ఒక క్వశ్చన్ మెయిన్స్ చేస్తున్నాం. సో in order to get daily updates at 7 o'clock sharp as we are doing it, subscribe చేసుకోండి, అలాగే bell కూడా click చేయండి so that 7 o'clock కి మీకు immediate గా notification వస్తుంది.
Forum for India Pacific Islands Cooperation. Recently, External Affairs Minister has convened in New York for the FIPIC and advancing its Act East policy to strengthen ties with Pacific Island countries. So, in simple words, the countries which are adjacent to the island nations, so Pacific Island countries, Forum for India Pacific Islands Cooperation, the countries surrounding the India Pacific. So, obviously, trade, climate action, and regional security they will discuss. That is one regional grouping. So, if you look at this FIPAC, it was started way back in 2014 during Modi's Fiji visit under the Act East policy. Trade, energy, disaster management, digital connectivity, climate change, adoption, investment, health, agriculture, renewables. These are some of the areas where the governments of these island countries wants to cooperate between different nations. And what were the recent initiatives that have been taken under FIPAC? 1 million climate fund. So obviously, each and every time, whenever any groupings are met, the first thing they will do is they will simply create a fund. But so far, so many funds were created, but none of the funds have been utilized completely. That is the problem. E-network, visa on arrival, space technology, cooperation, and diplomat training. These were some of the key initiatives under the FIPAC. So, what is the strategic importance of FIPAC? So, India Pacific outreach. So, obviously, India's role in maritime governance and regional security will be enhanced, right, and expanded through this FIPAC. And sometimes, if you look at island nations, Pacific Island nations and Indian Ocean adjacent island countries, majority of the times the China is pressurizing these countries, right? So through their debt trap diplomacy. So to counter China's hegemony, India need this soft power tool to balance China's Pacific influence, especially. PIC's vast exclusive economic zones are critical for shipping, fisheries, and seabed resources. So exclusive economic zones are very useful, right? If you have agreement with these countries, then obviously you can have access to their shipping facilities, fisheries, and seabed resources. That is also one of the maritime leverage. It strengthens India's leadership in South-South cooperations for climate vulnerable PICs. So under South-South cooperation, the countries who are generally under the southern part of world. So India should play a leader role. PIC's block voting in the UN, WTO enhances India's diplomatic influence. So India's diplomatic influence will be done through these countries if you have a friendly relations with these nations. That is the third one. Next one, China to retain developing status but forgot WTO benefits. So China, India, these are developing nations. Who have given these status? Themselves, China and India. If you want to get any benefits from WTO, that is special and differential treatment. These were the special countries and they need different needs because of historical injustice to these countries and structural inequalities existing in these nations. That's why WTO has this class. But in recent times, China has mentioned that in WTO future negotiations, especially, we are not seeking any SDT in the future, though it will retain its developing country status. We are still developing nation, but we don't want any special and differential treatment. It will no longer seek SDT under WTO. China, now the world's second largest economy at US $19 trillion, has grown from US 1.3 trillion since joining WTO in 2001. From 2001 to 2025, $19 trillion economy. That has been the Chinese strength because of this special and differential treatment, right? WTO developing nation status. What? So who will give this status? A self-declaration. The countries themselves declare we are developing nations so that they can benefit from WTO agreements, especially. What is the significance of the status? Significance of the status is nothing but longer time frames. Let's suppose if WTO has come up with any initiative. Developed countries, let's say they will take 5 years. Obviously, developing nations will get 10 years or 15 years time frames. And preferential treatment for their goods, technical assistance and exemptions will be given under the developing nation status tag. And what are the implications? Sometimes these will be misused by the countries. And if you look at developed nations and developing nations and least developed countries. So under least developed countries, United Nations will give the status based on the GNI per capita, human capital, and economic policies of the country. Based on this, United Nations will give this status. But when it comes to developing nation status, if China has given developing nation status, but it has been developing and transition to developed nation, then India might contest this developing nation status at WTO. That is also one of the advantage. How India has historically benefited from STT. Tariff flexibility allowed India to impose 100% plus tariffs on sensitive goods such as branded medicines, automobiles, and luxury goods. So India should allow 100% imports, but impose 100% tariffs on these products. That is the tariff flexibility. Agriculture support. Article 6.2 exemptions for low-income farmers and public distribution schemes like MSP ensured for food and livelihood opportunities. If you look at recent discussions at WTO since from last 4 to 5 years or from 1 decade also, majority of the times the countries, especially developed countries, accusing India is giving subsidies. There are 3 types of subsidies, right? Under agreement on agriculture, blue box, amber box, right? So these subsidies are distorting their markets. That is their major contention. But agriculture support, when it comes to low income farmers and public distribution systems like MSP and for the PDS, we will have a benefit from this SDT clause. Special treatment shielded India from disputes despite often breaching the 10% subsidy cap under AMS rules. If you breach 10%, then obviously WTO dispute settlement body will be there. There we will fight our case. So under SDT class, it will be exempted. Enable trade to resist developed country pressures, citing its developing nation status. So mostly developed countries and developing nations, these were the issues. Whenever any trade issues are going, then obviously we can claim we are developing nation. We need more time to comply with your orders, right? What options does India have? Recalibrate subsidies. So you should shift price support to income support, direct cash transfers, reducing WTO disputes. That is the first one. Options that India has. Promote green box subsidies, focus on research and development, extension services, and sustainability programs which are WTO compliant. You should not focus on amber box. You should focus on green box subsidies, which are generally WTO compliant. So you need to focus on your research and development on agriculture systems and extension services and sustainability programs. So you should focus on these rather than going for a dispute regularly. Negotiate translational safeguards. Demand longer compliance windows to cushion the shift. So whenever any decisions have been made at a WTO, obviously you need a longer compliance windows. That is the options that India have. Is India-Australia mutual recognition arrangement. Nothing but for organic products from both the countries, India and Australia. Both the countries, they will recognize the products. That is the simple agreement between mutual recognition arrangement. Simply, they will compliance, reduce regulatory barriers between both the countries and open access for Indian exporters to the high value American markets. This is the broader picture under your ECTA, Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement. So obviously, it is the recognition arrangement is a broader picture under ECTA agreement. So what are the key features? So what are the products that are covered? Organic products grown and processed in both countries. So organic products that are grown in the country and processed in the countries, India and Australia. These are covered. Unprocessed plant products. There are some unprocessed plant products excluding seaweed, aquatic plants and greenhouse crops. These were excluded. And processed foods with certified organic ingredients, including third-party ingredients processed in India or Australia. So the processed foods with certified organic ingredients. Who will give this ingredient certificate? The third country ingredients processed in whether India or Australia. This will also cover. And wine, there is another one. What are the implementing agencies? From India, there is a one body for the exports of agriculture products, Agriculture Processing Export Development Authority, APEDA, which works under Ministry of Commerce on India, Government of India. That is the responsible body from India side. Australia, Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, that is the body responsible for this one. So who will benefit? Farmers will benefit. Organic products fetch 30 to 40% higher prices than conventional crops, boosting farmer incomes, and supports the government vision for making India as the organic food basket of the world. So the country is gradually shifting its agriculture practices towards organic, and it facilitates wider access to premium international markets. The premium international markets access will be there. So India's organic sector, if you look at India's organic sector, so these are very important for your prelims examination point of view. Sometimes the questions will be asked in the states which are producing highest organic, and which state is the first one is completely going for organic. That is the Sikkim, right? India ranks second in the world organic agriculture land and first in number of producers. So we have second land and first in producing. So that is the India's case. In financial year 24, India produced 3 million tons of certified organic products across oil seeds, cereals, pulses, spices, fruits, vegetables, tea, coffee, and medicinal plants. So what are the major producing states? Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Gujarat, Odisha. And Sikkim is the first state in the country which has completely gone for organic farming. So what were the export destinations? Major markets: US, European Union, Canada, UK, Sri Lanka, Switzerland, Vietnam, Australia, Thailand, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea. These were the some of the countries' export nations. That is the fifth article. Next one, the other work visas for the US. The H-1B visa is a non-immigrant employer-sponsored visa. In the first article also we have discussed. It is a sponsored work visa created under Immigration Act 1990 that allows US employers to temporarily hire foreign professionals for jobs that require high levels of skills. So it is a skill-based visa. Under Immigration Act 1990, they can hire on a special skills. It helps fill skill gaps in sectors IT, engineering, finance, and healthcare. So most of us interpreted is only IT sector will receive these H-1B visas. No, engineering, finance, and healthcare service providers also will get H-1B visas. So yearly 65,000 by lottery system, they will have a H-1B visas, 65,000 new visas, and validity is initially for 3 years and extended up to 6 years. Between 3 to 6 years, if they are gone for green card is in process, then it will be extended to 6 years. Bachelor's degree or higher equivalent work experience in the specialty field is the requirements for this H-1B visa. So there is another alternative, that is the L-1 visa. This is non-immigrant visa for managers, executives, or specialized knowledge staff who are moving from a foreign office to a US office of the same company. So if you take an example of IBM or Wipro, they require a managers, executive, or specialized knowledge staff from India. Then obviously they can offer L1 visa, not depending upon the H1B. The employee must have worked in the foreign office for at least 1 year in a row in the last 3 years. So for the last 3 years, at least 1 year, you should be in the foreign office. The L1 visa does not have a yearly number limit like the H1B visa. So in H1B, 65,000 is the limit, right? But in L1 category, there is no restrictions. Validity, L1A, managers and executives, if you are under the managers and executive bracket, up to 7 years, validity will be there. L1B, specialized knowledge, up to 5 years will be there. Specific to the employer, limited to the same group of companies, can't easily switch jobs. It is very specific to the employers who does not switch jobs regularly. So differences, if you look at important differences, employment in specialty occupations H1B, intra-company transfers from India to USA. Same company, intra-company transfers for the purpose L1B will be used. There is a cap on H1B, 65,000 plus 20,000 through the lottery system. There is no cap. So this is the advantage. Eligibility, bachelor's degree or higher in relevant field is required. 1 year employment in company abroad or past 3 years. In the last 3 years, at least 1 year. Any US employer will sponsor this H-1B visa. Same company with US and foreign officers. Here, US and the foreign officers. The same company will be there. 3 years extendable up to 6 years. L1A 7 years, L1B 5 years. So these are the important differences between L1 and H1B visas. What this means for India? L1 visa. Indian IT sector, especially companies TCS, Infosys, and Wipro use L1 to move employees without using the lottery system. They don't want to depend upon this lottery system and these additional burden, especially on H1B visas, right? So they can simply use this L1B visas, the companies, which pressure to rise the increase in H1B visa in 2025, especially $1 lakh for each new petition make Indian companies use L1 visas more often. So they should more depend on L1 visas. This gives India another way to keep its large skilled diaspora in the US even with strict H1B rules. So already these rules will be applicable for the new applicants, not for the old ones who are already there in the US. Visa rules are a common source of tensions in talks about trade and strategic partnership between India and the US. Whenever any trade discussions are going on between different nations, so mostly these visa is a common source of tension between different countries. Different countries have different requirements and different types of visas. So in recent times, especially from USA, not only this H1B visa, there are another issues are also there. So if you want to put up that another issues on the table, obviously both the countries, the representatives of the both countries will generally talk about these visa issues. That is the biggest issue. So that is the discussion for IR topics for this week. Hope you clear the issues, whatever the recent IR topics that have been in the news. So finally, this is the discussion. Thank you for watching this class. So finally, we will meet in next week IR topics of the week with another new set of discussions on wide-ranging topics. Thank you.
CivicCentre IAS is offering Telangana Group 1 Prelims cum Mains classes as well as Andhra Pradesh Group 1 Prelims cum Mains classes in English medium for a period of 8 to 10 months. This also covers the complete NCERT textbooks and statewide textbooks. So what are you waiting for? Learn through reverse engineering technique today. Admissions are in progress. Join now. Visit our website. Thank you.